Hey YouTube, it's a Saturday late morning, about 10:30 already, and since my last video I haven't gotten a chance to do anything to this actually, but there's some good news too. The reason I didn't get much done was same reason I've been complaining about before. Let's see, Tuesday I had to work 11 hours, Wednesday I had to work 11 and a half hours. Plus I had to do mowing on those same days, so by the time Thursday rolled around, I did tell them I wanted to leave after 8 hours Thursday because I had stuff to do, and well, I was just tired. So Thursday I didn't do much. But good news is I'm on vacation all next week. We got Memorial Day, of course, and I put in for vacation time on the 4 days after that. So I'm off for a whole week. And I'm not going anywhere. I'm going to work on my projects. So hopefully in this video we will finish this project. And what I plan on doing today, let's see, we need to do our glove kit. We're going to mount our light, mount our exhaust vent that I told you about. Anyway, there's what I know I showed you what the bottom looked like after I ground it down. It doesn't look bad at all, I don't think. I don't know how well this is going to turn out. I always wonder about that, but it always looks better than it looks. The video excuse me, I'm stuttering again. The video always looks better on my computer than it does through the screen of this camera. That's what I was trying to say. Anyway, there's what that looks like. I think it looks pretty good. Not perfect, but for what it is. Here's the inside. I'm not even going to bother to clean all this up. That is going to be covered in sand. And actually, it will be bombarded in sand, and that will kind of clean it up when I use it. But like I said, we are going to paint it. So hopefully I can complete this project within the next 2 or 3 days and move on to something else. Give it a day or two to dry. And hopefully I can start using it. Get back on this truck. And while I'm waiting for it to dry, I'll take care of a few other things. Okay, it's time to get to work. Show you what I'm doing and how I go about doing it. Don't know how much I'll get done today. I'm afraid I may end up having to go to the hardware store and get some bolts. That just doesn't bother me, knowing I have a whole week off. Just feel like I have a ton of time. Stay tuned. It's time to get to work. Okay, still Saturday. Just want to show you where I'm at. It's getting kind of hot and sticky out here. I have got some work done, but I think I'm going to take me a little break, get something to eat. Getting a little hungry and shaky here. But we have accomplished some. We got our front panel kit in. That was pretty easy. It was a matter of bolting it, locating it in a level place, getting it level and getting it as close to the middle as I can, with a tape measure. And drilling 6 bolts. They give you a screw kit. No, actually they didn't give me. They gave me a screw kit for these. They didn't give me anything, so I just used 1/4-inch bolts with flange nuts on the inside. As you can see, I've got my light fixture mounted. I don't know how this light fixture is going to hold up under the sand. I may still do it. I should go ahead and make a guard for it. Not sure, or I might just try it out in the open, see what happens. I got a feeling I'm gonna be breaking some bulbs if I don't build a guard of some type. We'll see how that works. I've seen where people make plexiglass guards, but the trouble with those is the sand dulls the plexiglass very quick. Then you get very dull lighting or dim lighting. My exhaust that I was talking about earlier, it's a concrete drain fitting is what it is, and I explained, I think in my first video, how a shot vac filter would be clamped around that with a big hose clamp, which I already have. One thing I lucked out on, after I fitted this in here, it's a very tight fit. You got to kind of smack it in with your hand. I thought about making a cover plate to hold it in place, but I think that I'm just going to put a little caulk around this lip here and push it in, let the caulk kind of glue it in. One thing I got lucky on is once I take my fitting off the end of my shot vac hose, this fits perfectly. You have to It's kind of hard to do with one hand actually, but it's a perfect fit. So I won't be hunting down any adapters or anything like that. I'm kind of happy with the way that turned out. I'm hoping that the filter will kind of make that work pretty well, meaning it will be pulling dust, get some circulation going, and not get any sand in. Hopefully that'll keep my visibility up. You got to be pulling the dust out of there, or it doesn't take long before you can't see when you're sandblasting. But I'm going to wire up my lights before I take a break. And what I'll probably do, like I said, it's getting hot. I'll probably take a shower or eat another steak and just kind of kick back. I might do some things inside the house. I'm blabbing again. Anyway, let's get this thing wired up. I guess I'll do a quick little, we'll try to include that in our video here. If I can set this camera down. Hang on, let me pause this. Okay, finally got the camera set up. Got it sitting on a tripod, peeping through one of my glove holes. First thing I need to do is I had to take a golden nut out. Originally, I went ahead and grounded the green wire to the box using a bolt that mounts the light fixture. Then I found my cord that I'm going to use, and I forgot about it having a ground wire in it, so I'm just hooking my ground to it. Wiring up the light fixture is really simple. And my cord, actually, I spend money when I have to, but I also try to, save money where I can. This cord, which is in very good shape, it came off of a sub pump that I had in my basement that went bad. Usually whenever I throw an electric motor or some kind of power tool that just isn't fixable away, if the cord's good like this, I keep it. And it comes in handy for stuff like this. So we got a green wire, which is ground. And of course the fixture came with a green wire. Try to get everything in front of the camera here. And I just twist that together, is what I do. Might be a little long for the connectors I have. These plastic connectors came with the fixture. What you do is you just get them started. They kind of thread onto the bare part of the wire, and it kind of twists it together. Get it good and tight. Don't twist so tight you end up breaking your wire or screwing up your connector. And the white, which is the field wire. Connect white to white. That's pretty simple. That. And another nut. I had to use my wire strippers to strip the wire off of my cord. I would have liked to have shown that for anybody who's never done that. I'm sure most people that's watching this have done this though. It's pretty simple. A lot of people are scared of electricity though. I'm not an electrician, but I have wired my own house. When I first bought it, the house was actually built in '59, and I bought it in '99, and everything was two-prong, and I had to upgrade to 200 amp to wire this garage. This garage had no electricity when I first bought this place. So I learned a little bit about wiring. I ended up rewiring the whole upstairs of the house, haven't finished the basement yet. But I learned a lot during that. This nut here doesn't seem to want to stay tight. Sometimes you gotta kind of push on it, and then your wires will finally get caught up in the threads of the nut. I think that'll work. There it goes, I think. Don't feel right. You know, when it does that, you know it's not right. Okay, let's see. Here's what I'll do. You're going to get to see me strip the wire. It doesn't seem to want to grab a hold of the thread, so I'm going to give it more wire to bunch up in there. So cut that off a little longer. Put it in there. These wire strippers are kind of dull. There we go. That's that. And I'm going to try to save as much of this as I can because it's kind of a short piece. Strip it back a little farther. There we go. That and something else. A lot of times when the nut doesn't want to take hold of the wire, it's because the wire might be a little bit too small for the nut. It shouldn't be the case. These nuts came with the fixture, which should be the right size for the wire. But just because the company that built the fixture supplied you with those nuts don't mean it's the right one. Believe me, I know. I work in a factory and there's a lot of people in them places that make decisions that don't know what they're doing. Okay, that didn't do it either. Hang on, I'm gonna I'm gonna have to do something different here. Stay tuned. Okay, I'm back. Retrim my wire. Had to find a new nut. Let's see if this one works better. For some reason, wire kept breaking on me. Nut wouldn't feel like it got tight. There we go. This one's feeling better. There we go. I'm starting to twist the wire. Maybe it was the nut. Could have been a sharp edge, and there's like a helical making threads inside of those plastic nuts. Maybe there's a sharp edge. So we're just going to slide this through here. Just kind of stuff all that in there. Just you want to be sure nothing's hanging out when you put your cover plate back on. You don't want to pinch your wires and cause a short. Could shock you, but normally what happens if you have good breakers, instead of you getting shocked, most of the time all that happens is the breaker bugs, which that's what a breaker is for. Safety. Okay, I put the stuff in there pretty decent. Find my cover plate, we'll put in some bulbs, plug it in, see what happens. I think the bulbs are in the truck pad where they wouldn't get broken. Don't know how these bulbs are going to hold up under sand. Like I said, I'll probably have to make a guard or something. I do like the fixture, it's just perfect size. So I turn it too far. You just slide it through the slot and turn it either half turn or quarter turn. I think it's quarter turn. Oh, I heard something loose inside of this bulb. It might not be any good even though it's brand new. I'm getting ready to find out. Turn it till you feel it kind of lock. Okay, here goes that. So there's other stuff. Plug it in. There it is. Looks pretty bright. Okay, so now that that's done, we pause the camera and take it off the tripod. Okay, now, like I was saying, now that that's done, we're finished. Trying to figure out what I have left to do. See, I have several holes that was used for other things in the past that I either didn't like or didn't work, or both. I need to plug those. See, I got these. I got a few small holes up here I need to weld up. Those. I still need to tighten that down. Something else I forgot to mention, you can use one of these type clamps to hold your cord to keep it from, once I tighten those screws, that'll keep that from going anywhere. There's a holder plug, got a few small ones like that to weld up. Those will be full of bolts. That's my hinge bolts, of course. And we'll have to put our lid back on it and mount our Lexan. cut it out, drill holes. I don't think I have bolts or screws for that. If I have to go out in the morning and get those. Just trying to plan ahead so that I'll know if I need to go out and get anything, I can get everything and I won't have to make several trips back out. Yeah, I think that's about it. I'll probably make a couple metal straps. I might have to make some kind of frame to go over that Lexan, because once you bolt Lexan down, it tends to ripple on you, pull up. See how that works out. I think I've got something around here I can make that out of. And hopefully after I do that, hopefully I can get a lot of that done tonight, and tomorrow I might sand down the rest of this, get all these old tape, dried up tape glue off this thing, sand it down and take everything off that I don't want paint on, and get this thing primered and possibly even painted by tomorrow night. That would be nice. And then maybe Monday, while the paint dries, I could either find something else to do or just chill out. That's what I like about being on vacation. You can make your own hours, which is why I also want to be self-employed. Oh yeah, I'm going to keep hanging on that subject. I'll try my best to make that happen in the future. I think it'd be an interesting thing to watch for anybody who's following this channel too. Hopefully it will be inspirational and not something that won't discourage someone that wants that kind of freedom too. But yeah, that's the whole beauty of making your own hours in hot, nasty weather. You're not forced to stand in a 105-degree building, and you're not forced to try to make yourself go to sleep when you don't want to. You can make your own hours. That's what I want. Anyway, stay tuned, and I'll be doing a little bit more work on this. Probably get out here right before dark. Thanks for watching. Okay, it's Saturday night still, about 11 o'clock. Beautiful night. Got about quarter moon out. Love a nice peaceful night when I'm out in the garage when it's like this. It's been hot today and it's just now starting to cool off. Just wanted to show what we accomplished after I came back out here. I had to go to the hardware store and get me some screws. I put a bunch of them in this Lexan because I wanted it to seal, and I thought about just making a strip, but decided to go with a bunch of screws. I'm kind of liking how this thing's turning out. I think it's going to look pretty decent when I paint it. Like I said, it won't be perfect, but for what it is, I think it'll look pretty good. I'm kind of happy with it. And I'm glad I bought the glove kit, because it's got the bigger glove inlets, or whatever you want to call them, glove cups or sleeves. And it just gives your arms more room to get in there and move around. I'm really liking the way it's turning out. Got this piece fitted on there. I think I already showed that. Let's see, we got a few holes to plug. I'll probably plug that one. These little bitty ones I'm going to weld up. We'll do that in the morning. And then hopefully after that, these holes here, I'm going to temporarily block them with washers and a nut, because I may want to go back with my old floodlights set up with it, which I'll try to be a little more neater with how before I just had some wire sticking out and you would plug it in, and I'll probably mount a little box up here with a switch on it, a little electrical box, like the ones you buy have. Basically, a lot of ideas on this. I was just going around to places that had them on display. I've got a few ideas on how to do things, or to make this thing, but I'm liking the way it turns out. Of course, when I paint it, I'm not going to paint the inside. That'd be a waste of time. I'll probably paint the inside of the door. I'll take the door off. But that's all for Saturday night. Hopefully I'll have this thing in primer tomorrow at least. I think I predicted that I may have it painted tomorrow. I don't know. I may get it in primer and then let it dry and then sand on the primer. And then that way it'll be ready to shoot Monday morning. I already have some paint that hopefully is still good. It had a can of it's a automotive paint. Actually, I bought it from my Trino back in the 80s and never used it. It's a lacquer, acrylic lacquer, and I think I have some hardener for it that will work with it. I know I got reducer. That's easy to find, but I don't know, nobody shoots lacquer anymore that I know of. It's all base coat, clear coat. And when I painted the Torino, I changed my mind on the type of paint I was going to use, and now I still got it. Hopefully it's still good. I grabbed the can and shook it. You can still hear it in there. We'll find out tomorrow, hopefully. I'll shake it up really well before I open it, and hopefully it'll do the job. And you know, since I paid the money for the paint, I remember it wasn't cheap. I would like to use it for something. Use it for that. Maybe paint some homemade jack stands, stuff like that later on. We'll see. That's all for now. Stay tuned. Alright YouTube, we're out here welding up the all the little holes that I'm not going to use anymore in this. Just wanted to show how, well, it's kind of hard. I got the camera zoomed in close to the hole I'm going to weld up. What I was wanting to show, actually it's the first time I ever used one of these. I went to, you know, I bought a few things yesterday afternoon, and I ended up getting what they call one of these helper spoons, the brass spoon. You put it behind, whenever you're filling in a small hole with weld, you put it behind the hole. First time I ever used one, and they work pretty nice. Just want to show you how nice they work. Zoom this camera in. Put my gloves on and I'll show you how they work. I was kind of happy with the way the other hole turned out. Thought I'd show it on video. Find my helmet. All you do is take the spoon, put it on the other side of the hole there. Makes a pretty nice little spot weld there. Yeah, I still got a little bit of it filled in. Kind of missed it. Also, usually you can do a little better length. Keep missing the hole there. There we go, we got it filled in. See if I can move the camera and we'll do another one real quick. There it is. The camera's about to fall here. There we go. Try welding one more. Show you. See if I can hit it in the center this time. The first one I hit dead center. It was just about like a spot weld. Actually, on that one, they tried to burn through it. You know, the first one worked perfect. Calling how you do it. Guess I got lucky the first time. Still, it's a lot better than trying to fill in a hole with nothing behind it. You know how hard that can be. You end up, you start out with a little quarter-inch hole, and you end up eating about a half-inch out of it and getting a big sloppy weld trying to fill it all in. You can barely see it on the camera there. It's almost at the top of the screen there. Alright, I'm going to pause the camera and fill in the rest of these holes. I think I got, yeah, I got some there, and that's about it. The rest of them, let's see. That one, I forgot what I drilled that for a long time ago, but I never did use it anymore. I'm gonna make a slug, fill that in. These, I'm gonna go get me some pipe plugs and just screw them into there. They're about that size. Because like I said before, I may end up using those again. And I'm gonna do the same thing with this one. See, I got one there and one on that side. And I'm gonna do the same thing with this one. Because my hose went in here, and I used to have my hose run down to the bottom of the funnel, which is, and I may end up doing that again, but I'm going to try just doing like most of them are and having the hose going down in the inside. That way I won't have a hose sticking out of there. And it might be easier to, if you get a blockage in there, big chunk of rust or something that's messing up your sandblaster gun, it'd be easier to blow it out than to have it all plumbed and hooked up solid at the bottom. Okay, that's all I want. Just wanted to show that real quick. Stay tuned and hopefully I'll get this in primer. I think I wanted to get this in primer tonight. Didn't happen. I'll probably have it in primer tomorrow, let it dry, and probably wet sand it all down Tuesday morning and let it dry, maybe paint it Tuesday afternoon. Hopefully, if the paint I have is good. Alright, stay tuned. Alright, I'm going to give that welding demonstration another shot. Found out why that didn't work as well as the first one. The two I tried to show, they work, but not like I wanted it to appear on camera. Let's put it that way. See that angle iron there? I couldn't get my piece up behind my angle iron. The holes are up around in this area. And as you can see, those there were a little lower, and I was able to get my spoon flat against the hole. So I'm going to I got two holes right here I need to. Not that one, but those two. Try that again. Alright, we'll try it again now. Gotta get my spoon good and flat up against the back side of the hole this time. And actually, one of the holes is a little bigger than the other, so we'll see how that works out too. I know on these, when I can get the spoon behind it flat. Hard. Make sure I got it right with the helmet on, even though it is an auto darkening helmet. Yeah, it's a little more like it. I got a little hole in it. I'll tell you what, it must be camera shy because it works great off camera. That's pretty amazing. It works perfect off camera. See, I find a little bit of a hole in that. Let's try this big one and see what happens. Spot around it, actually it did work better. I had to spot around it because it's a bigger hole. But yeah, that worked a little better. Still, even though it didn't work perfectly on camera, it's still a lot better than trying to spot around the outside edge of the hole and then fill it in. It usually doesn't work too well. Just want to show how that spoon works. I think they're worth the $7 I paid for it. Stay tuned for more. Hi YouTube, it's Monday, Memorial Day. About, what time is it? About 10. Been out here since 8:30 or 9, getting this thing ready for some primer. I stayed outside late enough last night to sand this thing down and finish welding on my holes, ground them down. Like I said, it's not going to be perfect, but we are going to cover it with some paint, primer and paint, and make it look fairly decent. You'd be surprised once you cover something up with paint how all the flaws are covered up too, though. But as you can see what we're doing, we're going to do it outside. This isn't no car or anything, so we're not worried about dirt and dust. And as dirty as my garage is, it's probably cleaner out here anyway. But it's already a very warm and humid morning. It's going to be hot today. So we're going to get this thing covered in primer, and shouldn't take too long for it to dry actually in this heat. Hopefully everything will go okay, don't get no fish eyes. I just wiped it down with lacquer thinner and oops, almost tripped over my air hose. Alright, just want to show you where I'm at. Stay tuned, I'll show a little spraying. Okay, it looks like we have found some primer here, which I got. This looks like a really old can, and I guess it is, but it was unopened and new. But when you let your primer sit around for a long time, you get that at the bottom. So it's okay to use that, but you got to make sure you stir it up really well. What I should have done was turned it upside down last night. Matter of fact, I think I need to do my paint can that way. I hope my paint's good. So there's no guarantee I'll get that painted tomorrow. I may have to go out and buy some. We'll see. We'll try to use what we got. Just wanted to show you that when you store your primer for a long time, it's okay to use. Just stir it up. Alright, 5 minutes later, after about 5 minutes of stirring, just like that, as you can see, we have good primer. Now it's time to mix it up, make sure my gun works, do a little spraying. Alright YouTube, here's something you should always, especially on a humid day like today, but actually you should always use it. One of these little cheap plastic air dryers. Even if you have a good drying system at your compressor, you can still get water from the compressor through the line to your gun. Just wanted to show that. Now let's see how this gun works. I'm afraid my mixture might be too thick. I kind of put too much primer in it before I put my thinner in it. See how that works out. Yep, too thick. Spraying spider web. Alright, I'm going to pour some of that out. Spraying spider web. Hang on. Alright, we got everything straightened out. Just too thick. Oh, mixture. Actually, it looks a little thick right now. You see the spray better as I go. I mixed this 50-50. We'll see how that goes. It could be the old primer, but as you get to spraying, it starts looking a little better. We'll see how it goes. Alright, we got our spraying a little better. A lot of it was what I said. I had too much primer and not enough thinner, and when you haven't done any kind of painting, meaning like in auto body work and stuff, painting primers and enamels and stuff like that, you tend to forget a lot of the little things you used to do without even thinking about. And one thing I was doing wrong, I was just pouring my primer straight into the gun and then pouring the thinner in and stirring it up. Then I started remembering back, you know, I used to mix primer actually a little thinner than 50-50. And I also used to mix it in a cup before I poured it in my gun. So that way you don't have your straight primer going straight to the bottom. That's what I was doing wrong. It's just something I knew better to do. But like I said, I haven't actually painted a car in 10 years. I've been painting that POR 15 paint, which has been chassis and frame parts and not as picky. So actually, we learned a little bit, or actually we're just freshening up our memory. Now I'm going to try shooting, you know, video and a little bit of spraying here. out of paint. I need a bigger gun, but this is going to do for now. We'll give it a couple more coats. That should be good enough. Now we're starting to get back in the groove and learning how to spray again. Actually, I guess it's a good thing I decided to paint this, because it's going to be good practice for me before I do my truck. Okay, stay tuned. I'm going to put a couple more coats on and give you a close-up of what it looks like. Okay, I just realized after I painted the tank, I cleaned my gun, almost forgot to paint my door, so I had to hang this up. Now I got to do that. Getting really hot. Okay, while that second coat of the door is drying, it doesn't take long with primer. I'll just show you how the actual cabinet turned out. Looks not half bad in primer. A guy would almost be happy, since it's just a sandblaster, be happy with that. But I said I was going to paint it, so I'm going to paint it. Paint will be a lot more durable, last longer. Something you can actually clean off, dust it off every now and then, which this thing will get, it'll get banged up and scratched and beat up again. But what the hell? Like you said, you know, once I put that shiny paint, you're going to see dents like that and everything. But like I said, it's not a car, it's a sandblaster. But like I said, it's good practice for me spraying, and I kind of forgot how much I enjoyed spraying when everything goes right. Just wish we had better weather for it. I guess I ought to be thankful it's not raining, but it is kind of hot and humid. Okay, let me finish up that door, and let's see. After that, I got a rabbit to clean. Angel started aggravating me in the middle of the night, wanting out of the house. I opened the door, thought she just had to use the bathroom, and she took off like a land rocket, headed back this way. Of course, it was dark. Heard the chain link fence rattle. Then I heard a squeal, and I pretty much knew that she done snagged another rabbit. I went out there and got it before she ate it. Wrapped it in plastic, threw it in the refrigerator, because it was like 3 a.m. And so after I get this done, I got to clean a rabbit. Then I'm going to have a shower and let all this primer dry and get something to eat. Got to head to town for a few things. There's my little rabbit killer right there. She brought me a little gift in the middle of the night. She has brought them to the door before. Okay, that's all until I get that thing wet sanded down. I'll continue this video when I hopefully start shooting some paint in the morning. I'll find out how, if that paint's good enough to shoot before I even start making the video. Okay, pause this till tomorrow.